What's up, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of We Are the Bonsai Supply. I am Jerome, and in this week's episode, I'm going to transform a pre-bonsai. Alright, so the tree that I have in front of me today is a hackberry. This is an American hackberry, which is native to Northern America. And this, it's a hardwood deciduous tree, so it has an extremely hardwood, just like an elm. And the hardiness zone is 2 all the way to 9. Now we are in the growing zone 10B in Florida. We can still have these guys. We just have to make sure in the middle of the summertime that we move them a little bit into a shaded area. But other than that, they grow phenomenally. Now I'm going to transform this tree, and at the end of the video, you can actually acquire this very tree. So make sure that you stick around until the very end. So I'm going to explain to you how you can actually acquire this very tree. So hackberries are one of those trees that you can get a really dense ramification from. If you look here at the very tip, you see how the inner nodes are extremely close together and the branching can be very fine. So you can make an extremely fine ramification on hackberries, which makes it a perfect candidate for bonsai, right? Now this hackberry that I chose here today came from our pre-bonsai section. And even though it might not look very interesting right now, and this is actually why I chose it, I walked past and I said, this tree right here doesn't look like great bonsai material. But let's take it, let's see what we can do to turn it into great bonsai material. Because in my opinion, there's no such thing as bad bonsai material. Anything can be turned into bonsai. And if you have straight lines or an unsuited trunk, you can still, with enough time and proper technique, you can turn it into something really cool. And that really goes for anything. So here I wanted to show you today what we can do with a tree like this that doesn't look as appealing right now. Let's try to bring the best design out of the tree today. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do today, as I always do with any tree that can be defoliated aside from junipers and pines, I like to go ahead and remove all the foliage. Removing all the foliage helps me style the tree. It doesn't distract my eye from the green foliage, and it just helps me place the branches better. And defoliating is not just only better for me, but it's also better for the tree, especially if I do some major bends maybe, or if I redesign the entire tree. It's just I take the stress away from the tree trying to save all this foliage. And I have foliage just all the way up here. So we want the tree to come back after the foliage and push out branches closer to the trunk versus further away from the trunk. So that's why we're going to go ahead and defoliate. And this is just like any other species. You can just pull off the leaves. Super simple and straightforward. Alright, so if you guys are in a tropical climate, you can defoliate the tree pretty much any time of the year. But make sure that you repot a hackberry, a deciduous tree, in the spring as the leaves start to open. So as soon as you see the buds starting to swell and the leaves starting to push, that's a good time to repot your tree. But this is the only time of the year that's safe to repot a deciduous tree such as this one. If you are in a 4-season climate, you want to follow the climate. There is a dormant season once a year in most climates. Like here in Georgia, it's in June. In Florida, it's in July. So that's when I know it's a good time to go ahead and defoliate the trees. You don't just want to defoliate any time of the tree, because if you do it too late in the season, then the tree comes back, right, with all this energy and all this growth. And then it's going to go into the fall, into the dormant season, into the winter, and the tree is going to get confused and it's going to crash, right? So you want to make sure you do it at the right time of the year. But in the middle of the summer, there's usually that dormant period where it's a good time to defoliate the tree. So hackberries are actually really cool trees. Not only do they give you an extremely fine ramification, but you can reduce the leaves tremendously as well. So this is like a regular leaf. They're usually a little larger, but you can reduce it down to about this size for the entire tree. And that's really cool. So you can really shrink that. And the cool thing about it is that it does have a lot of movement from here on up, right? But down here, this long straight section, that's kind of the elephant in the room that I wanted to address. Because right now, the tree is completely straight down here, that has a lot of movement up there. All right, so the natural approach for this tree would actually be to turn this into like a literati. because it does have a really nice movement, and you can make a little crown up here, and it could be a little rowdy. We could change the angle a little bit to remove the harshness of this straight piece and make it a little softer like this and have a lot of movement. That could be one way to go, and that might be the right way to go. But I think that's just too easy right now, to remove all the branches and just wire this out. I think that's way too easy. I'm thinking, what if we can maybe somehow compact the canopy more, where we can bring this down, like fold it down and make it more of a much powerful statement, where we take this little tree that doesn't look like much right now, turn it into something really cool. And I'm not talking about following the Japanese rules of creating a bonsai or making it a natural bonsai. I'm talking about strictly creating a piece of art here, right? This is a very artistic bonsai design that we're going to design here today, hopefully. So I'm thinking, what if we could set the tree at an angle like this so that we can remove the harshness of this straight piece, right? Here it seems very, very harsh, but if we put it at a slight angle, then it's not that harsh anymore. And now I'm thinking, as I'm looking at this tree, I'm following the movement, right? We cannot bring this piece over this side because the knuckle, the outside is right here. That would break. But we can fold into the inside of a branch, of a curve. So I do like this. I do like this piece. I'm thinking to collapse this piece. So if we could bring this piece all the way into here and create a tree in here, I think that would look extremely cool. Okay, so now this piece could break here, but if we're careful enough and we apply the proper technique, we could actually turn this into something really cool. So let's get right to it. The first thing that I'm going to do, before I remove any of these branches, I'm going to make the fold. Because if the fold breaks, then I still have other branches to work with. But if I remove all the branches and I fold this piece and it breaks, then that would not be very good. So the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to use electrical tape to wrap the section that we're going to bend. So in case it does crack, it will stay safe and it can heal over, right? It will not dry out from the air. It will trap the moisture with the tape. Now this is essentially a raffia, but I have moved away from raffia a long time ago, and I just use electrical tapes for heavy bends, and it really works. It works wonders. It works fantastic. It is much cheaper than raffia. It takes a third of the time to apply it, and it does the same job. Raffia looks really cool, right? But I like the electrical tape, but you can use either the electrical tape or the raffia. This is just also much easier to come by. So I'm going to go ahead, apply the raffia, do the bend, and then we're going to go from there, okay? And also we're going to pick the front at that time. So as I'm doing this bend, as I'm bending, as I'm turning this wire, and as I'm bringing the top down slowly, I have to be very quiet and listen to any cracks that are appearing here, because I'm trying to bend the trunk, right, like that. And if I hear cracks over here and I'm not careful enough, I could blow out this whole section and break the entire section here. So therefore, I want to bring it down slowly and slowly, and as soon as I hear that cracking, wait a second. And then once I wait a little bit, I can attempt to bend a little more and stretch it a little further and a little further and a little further. But you have to be careful because it's only so far that you can stretch this whole thing. My idea is to bring this entire canopy down, right? So bring it all the way down. And in order to do that, I have to go in stages and really listen to what's happening here. All right, so originally I had it propped over to that side. As I started wiring, I kind of realized that, hey, you know what? This would be a really cool, dramatic windswept style that we could turn this tree into. So that's why I changed the sides. Instead of having it grow like this, which of course could also be an option for it to stand up like that and be a windswept. But I think like this, it's more dramatic. Yeah, so I like that a lot better. So this is a lot more dramatic, right? It looks like the tree has been growing out and it was sheltered here. So if this tree was in a crescent pot up to here, so it shows that the tree was sheltered. And then once he went past that that crescent, that now there's the wind blowing and the tree is struggling to grow up this way, and therefore it's going that way. And so there's a lot of wind, a lot of drama. I actually really like it. As always, the little wire here in the front, just to indicate what my front would be. And so yeah, this is a wild one. I mean, this is not your everyday hackberry. There's probably not another one out there like it. This tree is super cool. So you would have now thought that this tree could be something so unique before everybody walked past this tree when it was in the pre-bonsai section. Now this tree is going to get some head turns because now this is a really special tree. So before it went from not being noticed to now it's being noticed. I guarantee you that. So I just wanted to show you with today's video what you can do with uninteresting material or stuff that might not look as interesting. Try to see if that could be an option for it and change the entire tree, change the whole style. And that's what really bonsai is. And the more you do that, the better of an artist you're going to become. Challenge yourself, push yourself further and further. Don't just settle for a literati, which was the first thing that came to mind automatically. But whatever comes to mind first doesn't have to be the way to go, right? I looked at it, I assessed it, I said, oh, literati right away, right? Because it's tall and a lot of movement. And I was like, you know what? That's just too easy. Let's see what else we can do. And then I came up with this. And now this tree is very special. Alright, so I wanted to show you guys an update on what this hackberry looks like now. So as you can see, I did this composition a couple weeks ago and it has come back to life and it has brought back a lot more branches, a lot more growth, a lot more strength. So this tree is going to be very cool in a very short amount of time. All you have to do is once you get this tree, wait until the new branches have turned to wood and then wire them out into this direction, give them some shape, and then you already have a really cool and dramatic tree. Now, as I said before, you can have it at this angle, or you could even have it at this angle, or change the angle altogether. Now, when you do happen to get this tree, here's my recommendation. I recommend that you leave the tape up here, as well as this thick wire, and this wire right here, that's holding the entire composition in place and compact. Leave all of these three things for at least another year before you go ahead and remove any of this. But you can remove the wires on the outer branches as soon as they start to dig into the branches. Now, when would you repot this tree? So since the auction happens right now for the next 3 days, that means you're going to get your tree before the winter. So once you get the tree, keep it in this pot and wait until next spring. So in spring, right as the new buds start to open and the new leaves start to push, that's then a good time to go ahead and remove this tree from this pot, put it into a cool bonsai pot, and add some good bonsai soil, and then you are ready to go. Now, let me explain to you guys how you can actually acquire this tree. So for the next 3 days, on our website, we have a live auction where you can place your bids on this tree. And if you happen to win this tree, we'll ship it straight to your home. So I wish you guys good luck with the auction. Make sure that you subscribe to our awesome YouTube channel, and I will catch you guys next time.